you're going. And maybe the section is big enough for about 6 or 8 people, 10 or so. So we're in this section. This one guy is drunk as a lord. He has to go to the bathroom. He's throwing up, and he relieved himself in the corner. The place, this little place, stunk like anything. But we couldn't get out until the train stopped. The train didn't stop for about an hour, and we were cussing and swearing at this guy. And so finally, the train stopped, and we jump out of that section, and we jump into another section, and I end up seeing him. He's sitting on the rail under the coach, and I don't know. I guess he got up before the train started to go. But we were so mad at him, we didn't care what happened to him. We just wanted to get away from him. So we got back, and there was no boat there. Somehow we went back to Paris for another couple of days, and then we come back to the Havre. And then finally there was a boat, and we come back home. And then I wanted to get out of the Army as quickly as I possibly could. We were sent to Miami to have our records brought up to date. Then we were sent up to Pennsylvania to be for separation. And I signed up to be in the Army Reserve. Had a commission in the Army Reserve. And but I wanted.
You didn't have enough of the Army. You signed up for the reserves.
Well, I thought I could stay in and be an instructor of some sort. But my main object was to go to college, to Carnegie Tech. And being a graduate from Central Catholic, I could automatically go into Carnegie Tech without even taking an examination. But that was my plan, to get out as quickly as possible and start college. And I did that. And it was right after that, a year or so, when the Korean War started. So I get a letter in the mail that they want me to report for duty to fly with the armed forces, the Air Corps in Korea, in combat. So I said to myself, I didn't sign up to fly more combat in Korea. I signed up to be an instructor, but they gave me the option of resigning my commission, which I did very promptly. Rather than be sent to Korea, I resigned, and I continued my education at Carnegie Tech, which ended up getting a Bachelor of Science in Electrical Engineering. Went to work for Duquesne Light Company, and later to Thomas & Betts as a connector expert, and later to Con Edison, where I did mostly transmission line engineering. But some of the mementos I have here, if we still have time, is because some of them are missing. I don't know whatever happened to them. But one of the nicest is the Purple Heart, which is a medal for being wounded in action. So I got that some time ago.
Okay, hold that right up. Okay, zoom in on that.
Another pretty beautiful medal is the Air Medal, which is for flying combat missions. It has an eagle which is carrying lightning strokes in its claws. Beautiful medal. And there was another Victory in Europe medal, which disappeared somewhere. It's a beautiful medal. And this is a World War II medal. And I also entitled to get a POW medal, which I never applied for, but someday I probably will. Of course, what you're supposed to do is instead of wearing the medals like the Russians do, you get these little insignias here, which indicates that you flew combat. An oak leaf cluster means that you're entitled to more than one air medal. This is the Purple Heart. And this is the Victory in Europe medal, I think. This is my hat, which I still have. I save it for a special occasion. It seems to fit a little snug. Maybe it shrunk, or either my head got bigger. I don't know. But after we left the prison camp, got back a few years, one of the fellows that was in the prison camp went to their prison camp office and got our ID cards. So this is a picture of me after I was captured. About 3 days later, shows that I needed a shave after three or 4 days. Had a lot of hair, much more than I have now. So that was, he got these, and somehow or other he found out where I lived, and other people, and sent us our cards. I still have my dog tag, American dog tag, which indicates I was an officer, I guess. Look at this. That's my name. And my serial number. Isn't written too well. Yes, it starts with O. It indicates I'm an officer, that's right. And the Germans, they, not to be outdone, they also gave us dog tags. Auflag Luft 3, which means Stalag Luft 3, number 4965. So I guess that was 4,965, fifth air officer captured, put in that prison camp. This is off my hat, of course. It's a pair of wings, navigator wings, which are actually silver, and I haven't polished them for 50 years, so they need a good polishing to get them to shine. Showed you this picture. This is from my graduating class of navigation school, 4314, October. And there's a fellow whose name is in here, this fellow named Joe Demeter. He graduated with me in this class B-17 as a navigator. And he later married my cousin, Ann Woodrick. They live now in Florida. I'll have to visit him someday. He also went to Carnegie Tech.
You have your 2 uniforms there too.
Oh, okay. I'll try that on a little bit later. They need insignia, things like that. Someday, when I pass away, many years in the future, I think I'll thin down enough or have that altered so that I can be buried with my uniform, my officer's uniform.
Have to get some pants and a hat back for it, though, right?
Well, I don't need that hat, pants. Anyhow, speaking of Joe Demeter, he ended up also going to Carnegie Tech. You know, I have to investigate a little further too. Maybe he was in the same prison camp I was in. I don't remember him as being in the prison camp. But he did marry my cousin after the war. He did go to Carnegie Tech. And in celebration of 50 years since the end of the war, Carnegie Tech ask all Army service people to write up something about their experience in the war. So I wrote a letter to Carnegie Tech, outlining briefly my experiences in the prison camp, etc., which they ended up publishing in their magazine, their Carnegie Mellon Magazine. When I was in the prison camp, I also wrote a poem, which Michael's handing to me now. Thank you. And the poem, which was fresh in my memory at the time, is called My Last Mission. And somehow or other, Carnegie Tech also put out a little booklet with all the names of the various veterans that went to Carnegie Tech that were in World War II. They not only published my letter that I wrote, but they also published my poem called My Last Mission. And it's a little corny, but it tells the story of what happened to me on my last mission. It starts, the flak is coming closer, the target's drawing near. The bomb bay doors are open, for action we are clear. The target's reached, the bombs are dropped, then comes the sickening crack. The plane starts turning in a spin. The fire from the wings flies back. I make a frantic motion to get out by the door. The gravitation's much too great and pins me to the floor. My memory here grows dim. I must have hit my head. I wake up moments later. Methinks that I am dead. The bombardier remembers. He saw a bright red flash and fragments of the plane and flak. His body they did gash. I say under the picture of the plane, which is shown to be going into pieces, with the tail gunner coming out the tail section, me coming out this direction, and the bombardier going out that direction, and the wings and everything else, and strings of bullets flying out in pieces. So I say under the picture, and so I left my B-17. Okay, continuing the poem. I sailed on down through space, 10,000 feet or more. The icy wind wakes me to find, like bird on wing I soar. My vision clears, I look about, and all around do see a lot of din, flak suits and tin. By chance, it could be me. So, in that explosion, 7 men were killed or fell without their parachutes. 3 of us survived. The co-pilot, by the way, was a fellow who didn't believe in wearing a parachute or flak suits. So he's not with us anymore, but I think he probably was killed in the explosion. He was a good friend of mine. He was an old-time Army guy. He and I had a few good times in London. He knew the ropes of how to get away from the base without being stopped. Of course, we never left the base without knowing that there was no action planned for the next couple of days. So he and I used to go into London and when we got there, he'd go his way, I'd go mine. And we'd usually end up the next day or so back at camp. And he was usually pretty rocky because he used to drink a lot. He claimed he always had a bunch of girls chasing after him. I don't know about that. But I remember on one of the missions, our pilot, Jack Hunter, was a very square guy. He was from Kansas or Dakota or one of those western states, from a sheep ranch. He and I, after the war, planned to go. I'd go back. I was going to be a farmer with him. But he was very square. Never would do anything. Never go AWL or like the other co-pilot. I'm trying to remember his name. The co-pilot. The next day we were number 3. There's 18 ships in a formation. The lead plane has got the best pilot, and all the rest following behind. And tail end Charlie are usually the worst pilots that can't fly so good. But we were number 3. We were considered real good. And the pilot, after taking off and flying for a few hours, he gets tired, so he asks the co-pilot to take over. Well, when Jack Hunter, the pilot, was flying, we would fly nice and smooth, and just perfect. But the co-pilot, whose name was George Shoesmith, by the way, when he was flying, being out all night, getting no sleep, he was not flying too good. He would be going up and down, in and out. And of course, all the other planes behind us, they would be flying on us, and if we were going up and down, they were going up and down. Pretty soon, the whole formation was pretty ragged. Of course, that was noticed by the high command, So on our next mission, instead of being number 3, possibly moving up to number 1, we were moved to the back. We were tail end Charlie. Tail end Charlie was not the best place because the German fighters, the first place they would attack sometime would be from the end position. If you were tail end Charlie, there was a good chance you would be shot down if there was a fighter attack. So, poor George, he didn't rate too good as a pilot.
What number were you flying when you got shot down?
When we were shot down, I think we were, it was a short mission, and we were fairly up in the front. We were not the number 3, but we must have been fairly up front. But after I shot down, I found out the tail gunner, who was tail gunner in the plane in front of me. And, when I reported that I was blown out of an airplane and this and that, when you come back, when you're reporting this to get your records up to shape, whoever's taking the notes look at you like, well, maybe you're making it all up, So in order to get proof that I wasn't just making up this story about being blown out of an airplane, I contacted the tail gunner who was in the plane right in front of us and asked him what he saw. And he said, when we were flying, he says, he saw us behind him. He looked away to the left. He saw a flash. He looked back, and we were gone. That's all he remembers. He saw a flash, and we were gone. So when that flash happened, that was the plane exploding. Oh, I want to try on my uniform here to see if it still fits. I kind of know what the situation is, but I'll try it on anyhow. This is a nice winter uniform. Over here is the summer uniform. The summer uniform did not hold up quite as well as the winter uniform. It's the boat that goes around. When I first come back, this uniform fit me very, very nicely.
Is that the one you're wearing in the picture next to you?
Which picture's that?
Right behind you.
This one?
Yeah.
I think so. You see this?
Okay, hold it up straighter.
Straighter, straighter.
Yep. Yep, just like that.
At that time, I was 22 years old. I weighed about 145 pounds. Very slender waist. Very athletic. Now I weigh 170 pounds. Very athletic, but the weight shifted a bit. As you can see, the weight shifted a bit. And what I have to do is to take off about 20 pounds from the midsection here, or have the jacket altered, which might be a compromise. I'll do a little bit of each. But when I die, Michael, many years from now, this will be part of my dress to be used. I'd like to say a little bit about my wonderful family.
By the way, don't be in any hurry to get there.
Oh, you mean to wear this jacket?
Right.
I'm in no hurry. But, if you could see pictures on the mantle, my beautiful wife Rita. I took this photograph myself before we were married. I think it's kind of cute. She was a beautiful woman, great shape, super waistline, narrow waistline. She always, after 6 children, she kept herself in great shape. But over here is my 6 children, 6 wonderful boys and 6 wonderful daughters. Polli's the oldest in her wedding gown. I don't know whether you can see that. Rick is the second. He's married, has 1 little boy so far, and I think he's hoping for a little girl sometime in the future. Then comes Greg. He's over there holding his first son, Brian. He now has 2 others, Jessica, and who's the other one? Kylie, right? Okay. I have 12 grandchildren. I have a hard time keeping track of all the names. Then comes Patricia. She's married to George WWII. She now has 2 beautiful daughters and is expecting within the next week or so the 3rd child, who they kind of secretly hope it's a boy to carry on the WWII name. Then comes Patricia, who is still single. Date, she's got a real nice boyfriend.
Did you say Tina or Patricia?
Christina.
Oh, Christina. Okay.
Christina.
Mm-hmm.
Pattee, she's married. She's the one that's going to have the baby.
That's Pattee. Yes.
This is the one to the left here. Pearls on the neck is Christina, who was a full vice president of the What's the name of the bank?
UBS. United Bank, Switzerland?
United Bank of Switzerland, UBS, right. United Bank of Switzerland. She worked her way up through various banks in New Jersey to Citicorp and foreign exchange. You know, she's still doing foreign exchange. She's not a trader now. She discovered that was too hectic. And she's in customer relations, where she's on her first, in her first week, she landed a contract worth $5 million. Was it $500 million? I mean, these banks do such business in tremendous dollar amounts. It's amazing. Of course, last but not least is my son Michael, who's up in his graduation outfit from Keene College, after which he went to work in marketing for a while. Did a great job there. But he wanted to apply himself to be more helpful to humanity, and especially veterans. So for about the last 5 years, he's been with the VA, Veterans Administration. He worked up at Lyons for 3 years, and then was offered a job in Hawaii, Honolulu, which is where he is now. Works for a great boss who likes him very much. He does such a great job that I'm sure he's going to go far, and whatever he does with great effort and great application. I'm very proud of all my family, especially Michael, who's doing the photography here. I hope it turns out. So I'll probably think of a lot of other things I should have said after it's over. That's about all I can think of at the moment.